आज हम लोग बात कर रहे हैं प्राइमरली एनजीओ मैनेजमेंट और उसके प्रैक्टिकल एस्पेक्ट्स से रिलेटेड. The whole objective of this particular session is that we should know how NGO works, and then as a professional where we can find opportunities and what are the issues that we need to face and how do we handle it. Okay? Many of us are company secretaries, MBAs, and there are many others who are not professionally qualified but still, and there are people who are LLBs and lawyers. The point is just knowing that what NGO is not sufficient, since actual working of NGO requires many things, and that is the reason why we are doing this session today. So welcome everyone on this session of practical aspects of the NGO management. I hope everyone is listening and everyone is having voice clarity. Note down all the queries and questions that you may have, and we will have a session on queries resolution so that we can resolve it later on, right? So the first question itself is, what is NGO? To start, I can say that today there are, of course, registered NGOs more than the corporates. There was a research published in a newspaper which said that the entities registered under the Trust Act, Societies Registration Act, Section 8 or earlier Section 25 of the Companies Act, there are approximately 3.5 million in India, and that is a data relating to 2016. And it did not include many other unregistered NGOs that are operating, or maybe the other kind of organizations. Now, out of the 3.5 million, even if that is the data, many NGOs are non-compliant, because people here in India had created organizations just for getting donations, for getting political mileage, for getting some social recognition. There are very few who have very strong focus and continued, motivation to run the NGO. And as a result, people get the registration done, but after that, the registration certificate, memorandum, bylaws may even lie in their file or some box, etc., until and unless they require it to be used. So that is one case of scenario. That means the compliance level of NGOs are very, very pathetic. There are NGOs who are working operationally, but they are working as if there is no law or regulation, and they are fine to do anything, everything. So for example, one NGO was doing all kind of meetings, getting membership, getting sponsorship, getting educational seminar, done everything, but they have not even complied to have minutes, they have not complied to have governing body minutes or the AGM, or filing with the registrar of societies and annual returns, or even not file the ITR. There's other case of NGOs where they are afraid of the income tax. So they file the income tax returns, but they are not maintaining the registrar of societies and other documents. There are NGOs which are registered in 1980s, when some IS officer would have thought, okay, after retirement I will do it, I will nurture it, etc. Now the promoter are dead. Now there are cases where there is no person traceable. There are many cases. So that means NGOs are registered, but thereafter they are either abandoned or left unattended, or they are into bad shape of compliance. Okay. Now what is NGO? Prima facie, any organization which is not run by the government or not managed by government, or where the interference of the government is very, very less. Literal meaning non-government organization. It has various synonyms. Sometimes it is said not-for-profit organization, sometimes it may be said social welfare organization, sometimes you may say that voluntary organization, right? So different parts of the world use different this kind of nomenclature. And in India, the oldest one is 1860 law, which is Societies Registration Act, which has the object of regulating the society. Now, what is society? When there are 7 or 10 or other more members, depending on what the kind of organization we want to create, which is a state level or national level, you have come together under a name, under a common brand name, and you are doing the work of a social nature, social welfare, charitable welfare, where there is no profit motive. The idea is to further the objectives of the art, culture, social welfare, health, environment, or anything, whereby you are saying, I am not doing it for my own profit, or I am not doing it for the profit of the individuals that are involved, but it is for the public at large. So it is charitable. There may be NGOs which may not be charitable. For example, one is a society, there can be trust. So trust is primarily the synonym of the confidence, faith. So I have trust in you means I have faith on you, right? The literal meaning of trust is the faith or confidence. Ordinarily, when you have some asset, some kind of asset, it may be rupee, it may be asset like building, it may be land, it may be some IPR or any kind of valuable asset, and you want it to be managed by someone else whom you have reposed faith in, that becomes a trust, relationship of trust. So I may say, okay, I have a small land and I want SAF to manage the land in a way which will help the farmer community, right? I don't want for myself, I don't want for my children. I am trying that with the land uses you can help the farmer community, and I am trusting SAF because he can manage it. So there is a trust created. That is, trustee becomes, who is the trustee and which I have created a trust, that is SAF. Who is the trust creator? I am the person, because I am, so it is like trust creator. And then I said it, he listened it and he went out. How do you prove it? There is no question of proving it. So what do? You create an agreement. You create a deed specifying in terms of writing, completely giving your desire. So basically trust is a statement of desire and the manner of execution of that desire, whereby you execute the trust. So I will define what SAF can do, what SAF will not do, how the property shall be used, for whom it shall be used. So when we say from whom, the beneficiary, right? So the trust has an inherent beneficiary. Now when I am doing it for public, I am doing it for society, then it becomes a charitable trust, a public charitable trust, right? But I can do the same thing for my personal interest. For example, I have 3 sons, but I am not sure whether they will be able sons to manage my property. So what I do, I create a trust and I say all my property shall be vested and it will be known as, say, Pranav Kumar Trust. Like you know, Tata Trust. Tata Sons is a trust. So I created this trust and invested and give in all the assets that I have into the trust, and I said, look, this trust property shall be used for, say, welfare of my family. What is the activity that could be done is who will be family, how it will be run, what kind of expenditure could be done, all these if I write, it becomes a private trust. Right? NGO is a trust, but here when we talk about NGO, we inherently mean not for profit. Private trust becomes a for profit. So when we say trust, we must be remembering while we talk about NGO, it should be a public charitable trust. One was society, which is not for private. It cannot be for private because there are interest of more people. But when you are creating a trust, it can be private as well as public, right? And it has to be a charity as an objective, then it is a NGO. So when we say NGO, it essentially says that you have no profit motive. You are operating, there may be revenue, there may be expense, there may be surplus, there may be deficit, but that will not be meaning that, because when the profit we say, it is available to be taken out and used by the promoters and the shareholders. Whereas when you are not having surplus but you cannot take it for personal use, you cannot give away to the shareholders, you cannot give away to the trust creator, then it is not for profit. Right? So surplus and profit are separate. Surplus is just a mathematical calculation. Something is more, something is not more. So surplus and deficit is the word that is used in the NGOs, not the profit or loss. Right?